Today, we're talking about mindset shift. How to achieve more with less. And today's the day we're going to do it. What if working harder isn't the answer? What if it's the key to success? Working smarter. There we go. Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends. I'm your host. Yeah, I'm that guy. I'm Keith Phyllis, where we are here to break down the steps to growth, success, and how to reach the fullest potential you have inside of me here. Just a reminder, guys, this is an R-rated, X-rated experience. Just a fair warning that we got folks here who like to drop some colorful language. So if you got little ones around, I invite you to put the earphones in or walk them out of the room and just say, hey, there just might not be some language appropriate for you here today on the show. Hey, today we're all about shifting mindset. We talk mindset often on the show. We're going to continue the conversation today about shifting mindset to achieve more with less effort. No, it's not about being lazy. It's not about being going halfway. No, it's about achieving more success, less effort, getting shit done. We'll dive into what's draining your energy, what's distracting your focus, and how to break free to start winning with less grind. If you're starting your day right now and you're wondering what the hell's going on, do I hit the snooze button? Do I get out of bed? Do I get moving? Hey, I invite you to get your ass out of bed and get moving and ask yourself what's distracting that focus. And of course, we got here today, see Marty Fit, John Anderson, producer Flynn's away today, and producer Jimmy, well, he's holding down the fort, but I know the typhoon might be holding him down. Jimmy, of course, joins us from the Philippines, and they're having some weather issues over there. So we're hoping that the power of the internet and everything works out for Jimmy. But hey, that's why today's show is about how to achieve more with less. There's less of us around here today. Of course, we got a special guest joining us on the show today, Carl Grant III. Yeah, not the first, not the second. No, he was on the previous carnations of Morning in the Lab. We got Carl Grant III joining us here today. He's a best-selling author, CEO with over 25 years of business development experience, working with top-tier firms like PwC and Cooley LLP. He'll be sharing insights on abundance mindset, how to achieve more by working smarter. Yes, gentlemen, smarter, not harder. And you know what? You know how we do it here in the lab. We have engaging conversations in the Morning Loop. We got Morning Loop Reloaded coming up in the second hour. We got In the Gym with John and Marty. They're going to lean into this idea of hitting the gym and getting more done with less. Guys, it's not about going in and always lifting heavier. It's not about going in and doing, okay, I did 45 minutes yesterday, I got to do 60 today. No, you're going to hear from John and Marty. Sometimes actually less or smarter is actually more. And I'm the first person to subscribe to this. Sometimes I'm chasing the feeling. I end up doing more and not accomplishing what I'm really up to. So AJ Zeglin's going to join us here today for the Mind Fuel segment. We're going to talk about the power of no. We got, November's coming around the corner there. We're going to lean into the idea of no and how to achieve more with less. And of course, we're going to talk business and branding in hour two. And of course, we got the Creator Spotlights. Okay, Jimmy, if you're there, my friend, I'm going to pivot over to this camera right here. Boom. Let's bring our crew up on stage. There they are. There's John, Marty. John's in black on black. Marty's on black on black. We are in it looks like we got a little theme going on here today. Bilous is in black on black on black, and so is John and Marty. And we are accented by the lovely colors of red. Keith's got the red logo on his hat. Marty's got the red headset. Johnny's got the red hat with the fuck mental weakness shirt. We're all here. Gentlemen, how are you today?
I feel amazing. Like $1 million, man. Yesterday was a scheduled day off from the gym, and I am healed, and I'm ready to tear the fucking head off a lion today.
That's how I feel on Mondays when I take Sunday off.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I did back yesterday, so I don't feel like that today. But
no. And as we learned, Marty, the back is a massive muscle. Right, so you must have clearly crushed it yesterday. What did you get done for back workout? You know what, Marty? I got a little story here that if we have time to pull up today, I found a little story about Rock's go-to back workout. The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, of course. He's got a pillar exercise he always talks about. But Marty, what did you crush yesterday on the back, brother?
Seated row, lat pull down, bent over row, RDL, curls, pull ups, a little bit of everything, man. You know,
you walked out like this, eh? Just like this, like just big lats,
I'm feeling it, man. I'm feeling it. I feel like John Anderson today.
There we go, baby.
Good morning, Mimi. I see you in the comments, and good morning, FNDT dog. What's up? What's up? I invite you guys to subscribe to the channel, like the channel, say what you got to say. But we are here every single day. Johnny, I know you were take an active recovery day yesterday. So you say you got up today just looking to attack the day. Did you?
Yeah, I could kind of feel it by about 4 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday. I was starting to chomp the bit, like, oh fuck, here we go. You know, it's like I could feel it was like in the morning. I can't say I was hurting, but I was a little off. You know, hence the fact that I stepped on my dick a few times in my segment. You know, it's normally not me.
Yeah.
My brain was just not as clear. A lot of times I could feel it in my head before my body, and so by the end of the day, it was my body had caught up. And it's like everything just kind of starts to come together, and I could feel myself like, oh, here we go. It's like I can just kind of feel it bubbling up, and then I was up at Jesus Christ, I was up at 2:34 today,
dude.
Like, me too.
Yeah, I was. I mean, the alarm. I mean, I was like, come on, man, you got to stay in bed till at least 3 o'clock, and I was like, am I going to sit here and stare at the ceiling? No, I'm going to get up and do some. I'm going to get up and start enjoying the day.
Good for you. Good for you, man. Good for you. And Marty, you were cracking the light of dawn too this morning.
Not on purpose. I just couldn't sleep for whatever reason, man. It just fucking a couple of times a month, I just can't sleep. I'm just up. Like let's
let me tell you, it's after big muscles when you after a leg work, a nasty leg workout or nasty back workout. Very often you're not going to sleep well. That's just the nature of the game. So
maybe that's it. Yeah. Maybe that's it.
So here's the trick of the trade. What you got to do if you can. Move that workout a little bit earlier in your day, because what happens is your body, it's all wound up. You know, you're beating up on it. It's under attack, and it's like it takes a while to settle it back down. And usually you'll be hungrier the next day too, and because the body's trying to heal from them. It's a lot of tissue that you broke down.
Yes. You know? Yeah. Hey, I got a question for both you boys. A relatability question for our audience. I know you guys are extremely disciplined. Very much into habits and habit stacking, and you guys you knock your boxes off as you go through your day, but you're also human and you get tired. And I know when I get tired, my body and my mind wants to chase carbohydrates and bad food. So Johnny, Marty, when you guys are tired and chasing, your mind is a little foggy and your mind is a little off. And John, I'll start with you yesterday. Make yourself relatable to the audience. I know you're disciplined, highly disciplined, but I got to assume, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm going to make some assumptions here. When you're tired and foggy and kind of just a little bit off, do you yourself still struggle sometimes with like kind of wanting to reach for that comfort, or have you conditioned yourself to say fucking no? Or Terry's like, Johnny, what are you doing? Or make yourself relatable to somebody tuning in right now who's like, oh, so Johnny actually has the troubles too when he's tired.
Well, it's kind of all the above. I mean, like yesterday, what I basically, yesterday what I did was I made sure that I had my food ready to go, because if I'm in a position where I'm gonna have to get up, I'm gonna feel a little goofy, call it whatever, goofy, kind of summarizes everything you just said.
Yes.
And I gotta make a food choice. I gotta open up the refrigerator.
Yes.
Say, what am I gonna eat? I got all the food that I'm supposed to eat in there, but I'm not gonna make even a good decision with my food. So basically, Terry and I made these. It was crazy. I made a video on. It was 20. I said in the video 20 pounds, but I was actually mistaken. 22 pounds of ground beef. There was so much, we had to get a goddamn bucket to mix it up, right? And so basically, each one of these things came out at basically 3/4 of a pound cooked. So I was basically, in a day like that, I'm tired. I know I got to eat. I got to reach. So I was basically eating one of these about every 2.5 hours. So every time I was time to eat, I knew exactly what I was going to eat. So basically, to answer your question, how I deal with not making the bad decisions.
Yeah.
On that day, I know it's going to be hard. So I make the decisions ahead of time. I don't make the decisions in a state where I know that I'm not a good decision maker.
Yeah.
And that way it's just premeditated. All I got to do is go. And she made this ripping salad. I call it her crack salads, because they're so fucking good. I can't stop eating them. I mean, Jesus Christ. I told her, I said, look, you got to you got to pull the throttle back on these things because they're so fucking good. I'll eat until I pop. It's salad, so it's easy to justify, right?
Yes.
But,
yes.
So basically, I had one of these burgers with a big couple of big tongs of the salad on top, and I just made my decision, and boom. And then even better, she cooked a couple of big old nasty tomahawks for my last meal. So it was a good day of eating, but all decided ahead of time.
Yeah. You crush burgers with bun or bunless?
Come on, man. You gotta ask that question.
Come on, man.
I'm just asking for the audience.
Christ.
Come on, man. You
Of
know who
course-
you're talking to,
No,
man.
yeah, no. I mean, there's of course, the bunless for sure. But let me say something. If I was to eat the bun, I'm just talking about me, not everybody.
Yeah.
I would not feel well because that processed food really it makes me feel poorly. So
Yes.
for me, I've eaten in a way where I've found I eat the way that makes me feel good. So when I eat something like a bun and it makes me feel poorly, the pleasure it's not even close to outweighing, I guess you'd say the consequence. And
Yeah.
so for me, it's very easy.
And I knew the answer, but again, I go back to our show, and I go back to guys who bands who were in concerts, right? Like you think about Metallica, right? They're like, oh my God, do I have to play Enter Sandman again? I've played that fucking 800 times in my career, and this audience wants to hear it. but there's people that are listening right now going, really? So John actually doesn't eat the bun, right? So,
Yeah.
But Marty, as you go through same question to you, as you chase days where you're tired, are you as disciplined in advance to get your food ready, or are there days you're like, fuck, I'm making a bad decision, I'm just going to deal with it?
Nah, stay disciplined. And anytime I make a bad decision, it's not on a frustrating day. It's
Interesting. Yeah.
It's not, it's usually with friends or an event. But I stay locked in. Yeah, I stay locked in.
And then Marty, when you find yourself making a bad decision, do you beat yourself up in your head? Or have you gotten to a point where you don't, Good for you.
Never. Because my habits are too good on the regular to even get mad at it.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%. And then on that level, just to kind of go a little further, if I was going to eat some carbohydrates, which occasionally I'll do it based on, where I am and what's going on. Yeah. It's surely not going to be a fucking bun. For Christ's sake. A bun is processed food. Like for example, if I was to have some rice, single ingredient food, I would feel fine. It's not the carbohydrate that does it. It's the form of carbohydrate.
Yes. Yeah. So I crushed some. Lauren made some incredible meatballs last night, and with some high protein pasta, like very, very high protein, high nutrients, and just a little bit of it. But that's what I crushed. But those meatballs, man, just non freaking stop. Just crushing. So anyways, all right, let's keep it rolling here. I know today's topic, gentlemen, is about achieving more with less effort. But here's the thing. We all have barriers that stop us from making that mindset shift. We're talking about with John and Marty, making bad decisions, good decisions with food. And some of those barriers are external: tight schedules, friends' influences, out late at night, overwhelming demands, or even the expectations of others or yourself. But here's the reality, guys. Those toughest barriers are the internal ones, the self-doubt. That's why I asked Marty the question. When he makes bad choices, he beat himself out. Does he beat himself up? That self-doubt, the fear of change, the need to stay busy, the need to do something just to feel productive. But nation, I'm going to tell you something. Achieving more with less effort starts with getting brutally honest about what's driving your effort in the first place. It's pausing, slowing down, and asking what you're doing. Are you grinding because you believe that it's necessary, or are you grinding because it's a habit? That is the key question. So whether it's a fear of slowing down, or it's a fear of being judged, or a comfort zone that is no longer serving you, today is about recognizing those patterns, Business Athlete Nation, and breaking free from them. I want you to think about this. If you can change one habit while listening to Marty, listening to John, myself, or Carl coming up today, if you could change one habit or belief right now, that would free up your energy. Think about that. You hear Marty and John talking often about making decisions the night before. So you get up in the morning and you have a bunch of decisions to make. Well, you got another one to make. So think about it. For me, it's about focusing on the impact over the effort. When I'm doing something, I'm asking myself, what's the impact I'm going to have over the effort that I'm doing? It's not about how hard I work or how many hours I put in. I know I'm putting the work in. I know I'm showing up. It's what I do. But it's about being intentional. That keyword, being intentional with my time and my energy, making sure that things move the needle. Listen, it's not easy, The real magic happens when you trust yourself enough to work smarter, not harder. So Business Athlete Nation, today I'm going to challenge you. What's one shift you can make that will unlock more wins with less effort? I invite you, drop it in the comments, drop it in the LinkedIn feed. Let me know, let John, let Marty knows what's one thing you're going to do. And remember, no month is around the corner. If you want to say yes to a big goal, you're probably going to have to say no to many more along the way. So, all right, let's get to the accountability check-in. But before we do that, Jimmy, I want to quickly throw a video on screen here. That I don't see Carl here in the stream yet here. So, this Carl. Carl, I see you in the horizontal stream. Carl, you have a link in your inbox there, which I need to get you in the vertical stream as well. So you have two streams that I need you to get on there, Carl. So if you can open up that second link there, that'll get you onto that vertical stream as well. But before I do that, what's going on, Joseph Hernandez? I see you there in the comments. Marty, Jimmy, Johnny, did you guys see the video drop by Nike yesterday with LeBron and Bronny?
No.
Was that the when he put the cereal in the truck?
Yeah,
I saw that.
That's funny, man. So I want to throw.
Oh, I got a video for John Anderson too. I'm
gonna throw this on the screen, Jimmy.
That's serious. He used my whole name. That's got to be serious shit.
It's serious. I got
a fun video here I want to show before we go to the accountability check-in and bring Carl Grant in. But so we were talking LeBron and Bronny yesterday, and I just kind of wanted to follow it up. But Jimmy, I got the vertical, you got the horizontal. Let's rock and roll. Do this here. Check this out, guys.
Let's check it out.
Check this out, Johnny. Look at this.
All right, man, I got you.
This is the best. There's Bronny going to the car.
Oh, mercy. Oh,
Come on.
And then look at Dad just driving away.
Hey, look. Better not be late. Yo, are you serious? Come on, man. Hey, clean up my driveway. It's a mess. Yo, you're too old for this. Come on, bro. Come on.
I love that, man. And I thought that's kind of the theme, right? How to achieve more with less effort.
Man.
You know, there wasn't a lot of effort there. He went and got a bunch of cereal, dumped it into his kid's car, and just set up the camera and said, let's go see what's going to happen. I thought that was pretty funny, man. I loved seeing that commercial. And, of course, Nike does that. But, Marty, when you saw it, would you get a little crack into that or what?
Was that the commercial or did he really do that? Like, I want to know if he really did the prank and they happened to just record it. He was like, yo, I'm going to do this prank on Bronny.
I got to think it,
or was it staged?
I got to think it was a bit of both because I saw the Nike swoosh at the end there, but I just thought it was a pretty humorous side of things.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
I mean, that's a shit. I mean, I don't even know how many. I don't think I could count that high. How many goddamn boxes of cereal must have taken to fill that car?
Oh, dude, right. It would have been a ton. It would have been absolutely a ton. So, all right, Jimmy, let's rock and roll. We got Carl Grant hanging out in the green room in the center stage. I see you, Carl, in the vertical stream.
Keith, you there?
Did we lose him, brother?
Did we lose Keith?
He dropped. I think he froze up. I was thinking it was me for a second. I'm glad I heard you speak up.
Yeah, I know, right? I don't know what's up with Keith, man.
He's been having some internet issues lately, but
yeah, he
now
get that
he's still working the keyboard. So, well then, you've already talked to the guest. Who's the guest? Tell me about the guest. I'm curious.
I haven't spoken to Carl.
I don't know. He was on once before.
Let me see, man. Hold on. It's not ringing a bell. Let me check.
Okay, I thought I was, because we've had a couple of guests on that I hadn't been, but you'd already seen them. So I thought this is another one of those. You know?
No, I don't think I met Carl.
Yeah. Well, there he is right there. Guys. He's up. Carl, can you hear us? Let's go, baby. How are you today?
I was hoping I could get to mix it up with you guys. I'm was a competitive bodybuilder as a teenager, and I still, workout fiend. And I'm glad I'm not the only guy who wakes up at 3 a.m.
Very nice.
Oh, you're at the right place, brother. You in the right place.
Dude, I'm up. I don't even set an alarm. I just wake up. But I go to bed early. I'm in bed by 9 o'clock.
That's good. That means your body's ready to get up. When you wake up with that alarm, that means your body's just basically charged and ready to go. So that's really cool, brother. So basically,
admiring your arms the whole time I've been on here. I'm looking at your arms. I'm like, dude, you can't. You got to be about my age, and you still got those arms. I was sporting arms like that when I was 19 years old. What do you do?
I'm 52. How old are you, brother?
I'm 58.
Oh shit! Well, dude, I tell you, it gets a little harder as the time goes on. But it's just I love it. It's easy to do something you love, and so I'll leave it right there.
All right.
So Keith has you coming on to talk to us about basically what getting more with less. Yeah, I'm really interested to hear what you have to say, brother.
Well, I wrote a book called How to Live the Abundant Life. And
Okay.
fitness is one aspect of it. I really play the fitness down in the book because I wanted to appeal to your average person, right? Your average person is not going to do what you and I do. Your average person is just trying to not gain a pound a year and be 40 pounds overweight by the time they're our age, right? And so I go through how to find your purpose. Because so many people walk through life without having a purpose and being rudderless. And so I talk about how to do that. I talk about how to maintain a sound mind. So many of us just will entertain whatever thought comes into our mind. And your average person, the thoughts are negative. I'm getting old. I'm ugly. I'm this, that, and the other thing. And they spin these things up in their mind. And it's really detrimental to their lives because then it starts to come out of their mouth and it starts to manifest itself. And so I get into how to only you control what goes through your mind. And I talk about how I have been able to change my thinking. This wasn't something I figured out, early on in life. It took me years to figure this out. And once you make that switch and you change your thinking, it changes your life. And what comes out of your mouth, what comes out of my mouth is not that I'm getting older. I'm getting better every day. Every day I'm making progress, right? And so you look at me. Do I look 58 years old? I don't feel 58 years old. I feel like I did when I was in my 30s. I'm manifesting what I preach here. And then I talk about growing spiritually. This is not a chapter that's going to appeal to everyone, but for those who want to grow in that part of their life, I talk about how I made a change midlife. I had been an atheist my entire life, and I made a change. And when I look at where I'm going now, it's much better than where I was. Talk about maintaining a healthy body, personal growth. There are so many things that we think that we can't do, but you can do them. The key to doing the impossible is coming up with achievable goals that will get you to where you want to go. And I talk about a couple things that I did. I got my pilot's license. It seemed like the impossible thing. I didn't know any pilots growing up. I just saw airplanes flying. I said, I want to do that. And it took me 20 some odd years to get it, but I did it, right? When I was in high school, me going to Harvard University was not a possibility. I just didn't apply myself. But you know what? Later in life, I work with a lot of people that have gone to these elite universities. I figured out how to get myself into an executive ed program there. And you know what? I went to Harvard University. It wasn't that big of a deal. I'm just saying these things are not impossible. If you want to do them, I give a way to get there. And then also about developing and maintaining relationships. This is really the key to abundance. It's not having a bunch of stuff and a bunch of money. It's about having people in your life who love you and who you love. And I talk about how to do that, and not just the family, but friends and the community and the workplace. And then establishing boundaries, because once you open yourself up and you're this lovable person, people will take everything you have if you let them. So you have to establish those boundaries. And I'm sure you guys protect your workouts, right? Whenever you get up in the morning or in the evening or wherever you go to the gym, if you don't block out that time in your day, somebody's going to take that time from you. So I talk about how to safeguard those moments that are important to you. And so that's essentially what I cover in this book. And it's not something that I was born knowing. It's something that I learned through a life of making mistakes and learning the hard way. So the younger people that get a hold of this book will be able to avoid a lot of the mistakes that I made.
It's amazing, bro. I mean, everything you're saying is amazing, and I'm kind of with you. I subscribe to a lot of it. What was there a catalyst? Because you said you early in life you didn't have it. Was there like a turning point, or was it just kind of like you had little awakenings and they just kept stacking up as you grew older and more wise?
I think it was little awakenings, right? Because it wasn't all at once. It was when I was 24 years old. I was living like most guys live, and trying to get my way with every woman that I met. And you know what? I thought to myself, it was more of is this the best way to meet your future wife? And so I decided I needed to change my ways, and ultimately I couldn't on my own, and that's when I turned to God. And so that was an awakening. And you know what? A year after I made that decision, I met my wife, and I've been married 30 years, and I got 5 kids. So it's all been good. It worked for me. It maybe not be the path for everyone, but that was one awakening. Another awakening was when I was in my late 30s. I was 40 pounds overweight. You know what? I would walk, and I don't know that you guys look really fit, so you probably never experienced this, but my butt would jiggle when I walked. And you know what? That was a horrible feeling, Maybe if you're a woman, that's a good feeling. But I'm like, man, I got to change my ways. And so at that point, I started to figure out how to change my eating. At first, there were a lot of guys doing the Atkins diet around me, and that was the first hard cut over. I heard you guys talking about carbs, where I just banned carbs from my life, and I've moderated that approach a little bit as time went on, but it's that low carb, controlled calorie eating, and I figured out how to. Now I wear the same clothes, I'm the same weight as I was in high school. Right. And so that was an awakening. And there have been several of those. I'm not going to go through every one of them, but like little pieces over time that you're like, oh, I don't have to think about whatever pops into my mind. I can change that. I can take lies and get rid of them and replace them with truths. And it's one of the best things I ever did.
Well, brother, I just on a funny side note, hold on, Marty. On a funny side, I can relate because there was a time in my life where I had a set of man tits that jiggled around pretty good. So my ass wasn't the jiggler, but the tits were. So I feel your pain, brother. Go ahead, Marty.
I was going to ask, man.
We shouldn't jiggle anywhere.
Thank you. I'm right there with you. I was going to ask. So you got this situation where you like my ass is jiggling. I need to do something about it, right? Now, I'm
That's
sure
the first
you had
time
people.
I've ever admitted that in public, Marty. I'm kind of embarrassed.
Man, hey, this is the place to do it. This is the place to do it.
That's
so,
it,
I'm sure you had people around you that probably made you feel like that was okay and you didn't need to change or anything like that. So, what tips do you have for somebody who's maybe surrounded by those type of people, and what's some practical steps they can take to get out of that mindset or separate themselves from that type of mindset?
Come to think of it, I look at families where everybody makes themselves feel comfortable, because they're all growing fat together, right, and becoming unhealthy together. Unfortunately, my wife, after I kept buying bigger and bigger pant sizes, I went from a 32 to a 34 to a 35 to 36. It was just getting bigger and bigger. And she said, "How about you lose some weight and you don't buy all these big pants?" Fortunately, she's the voice of reason. Maybe it wasn't because she didn't love me because I was getting happy. She still loved me.
She told you because she did love you. It's her job, to be honest.
Yep.
She's also an accountant, and I was spending too much money buying new pairs of Ralph Lauren pants.
Love it.
Keith,
are you back? Are you back in the action here? Or can we just see you?
I'm loving the conversation. Good morning, Carl. Good to see you here this morning. I love my team. I had a little bit of an internet blip here, and of course, Marty and Johnny take over, which I have nothing but love and props for. Thank you, gentlemen, for hanging out and taking over for me. You guys are having a great chat. Hey, Carl, can you hang around for the next segment, or do you got to take off here?
I can hang around.
Awesome. Let's do that. So here's what we do here. So we got a fitness segment coming up called the See Marty Fit Tip. We're gonna click on Christopher. He's gonna do a fit tip here for a minute, 90 seconds, and we're gonna come back. We're gonna keep the conversation going into deep dive, Carl, around mindset shifts, mental shifts, and want to get into where is my my notes here. It is this idea of building habits for achieving more with less effort. And Carl, I appreciate you figuring out the horizontal vertical streams for us this morning.
You bet.
Awesome. Okay, let's do this. Marty, you're up, brother. Let's get going here, pal.
Let's get it, man.
Taking over for me.
Come on, man.
Let's do it.
Come on, man. Let's do it. All right. We got a different fitness tip today, okay? So, if you're tired of the same exercises, you want something effective, something new, something fresh that's going to help you build strength and improve mobility, I got some stuff for you to help you break out your usual routine. We got reverse plank, all right? This is different than the regular plank, all right? This one is going to work your posterior chain. It's going to work your hamstrings, your glutes, your lower back, and your shoulders, okay? Sitting straight sitting with your legs straight, hands behind you, lifting your hips off the floor. We got the glute bridge march. This is different too, all right? This is going to target your glutes and your core while adding some stability. Lift your hips into a bridge and alternating your legs. This right here is going to be a burner, all right? We got Superman holds. Me and Johnny talk about Supermans all the time. This is going to help strengthen your lower back, but it's a little bit different when you're holding when in the up position of the Superman. That's another burner, all right? And then we got caterpillar walks, also known as inchworms. You start in a plank position, then walk your feet inward, right? This is going to help you with some flexibility, right? It's going to stretch out those hamstrings, and it's going to work on some core stability while you strengthen your shoulders. All of these are like a little curveball you can throw into your workout. Mix it up, switch it up. Improve your core, improve your stability, improve your flexibility by adding these in your workout. Safe, challenging workouts. And let's keep going. That's the fitness tip for today.
The fit tip of the day with See Marty Fit, 8:30 Eastern time every day.
Yes, sir.
Advice for you guys to get yourself through the day. We got Carl Grant III here with us today, a best-selling author, CEO, and business development expert. With over 25 years of experience working with top firms like PwC and Cooley LLP. He's here to talk about what it really means to shift from grinding harder to work smarter and how adopting the right mindset can unlock more wins with less effort. Carl, glad to have you here today, my friend. We met on Matchmaker, Carl, and I said, hey, man, we do a morning show that's unlike anything that you're probably used to. First impressions as you walked yourself into the room today, seeing what's going on here, you're like, what the hell did you get myself into or what?
No, I watched you. I watched you guys, and I was actually nervous because it's an hour earlier out here in Central Time, and I'm like at 7:15 in the morning. I'm going to have to expose myself to the abuse that you guys dish out on one another. So I had to wake up and have an extra cup of coffee this morning and make sure I was awake for this.
So hold on there, Carl. You said abuse and you said some. So hold on. You're joining us from where, Carl? Are you joining us in the Central Time Zone?
Yeah, Austin, Texas.
So, dude, I'm.
Oh boy, we froze again.
Did we lose him again?
So
there we go. He's back.
He's
back.
freezing again.
Am I freezing again?
We got you back. No, we got you back now.
You're good now. You're good now.
Somebody's got to pay the internet bill over here. But I was just saying, Carl, that I'm on Central Time Zone like you are. So we actually don't get up early compared to our friend Johnny. Johnny, what time did you get up today, brother?
2:43, something like that.
Yeah.
2:33. It was early.
Yeah.
I get up early too, so I am awake. It just takes me a while to wake up.
That's it. So Carl, let's get into research shows that habits shape our outcomes far more than motivation alone. If you want to achieve more with less effort, you got to create routines that make progress that feels effortless. Start small, stack habits, sticking through consistent repetition, not willpower. I talked to Johnny early on in the show about, how he battles willpower, and he's like, Keith, I'm just prepared. I'm prepared. Carl, from your experiences in business and personal growth, what's the best way to kickstart positive habits that led to a smarter, more sustainable success? And what's worked for you, Carl?
I'm going to just give the overall theme of what I wrote about in the book. And it's really doing the opposite of what comes natural to your human nature. Like our human nature is to stay in bed and eat potato chips and not do the stuff that we do, right? Instead, we get our butts out of bed. We go to the gym, we work out, right? And the same thing holds true in relationships, right? Everybody wants something from somebody else. But if you approach somebody, and you talked about my business development career, so let me take it back to that.
Yeah.
When I went out into the business world, and my job is to bring in business for a top accounting firm or a top law firm, if I go out and I just ask for business, I want you to give this to me, I'm going to get nowhere. Instead, I go out into the marketplace and do what comes opposite to human nature. I go and give. I figure out, what can I do for you? Let me learn about your business. You're looking for customers. Let me introduce you to these companies that I know that could potentially buy from you. You're looking to raise money. Oh, I know angel investors or venture capital investors or private equity investors who would be interested in what you're doing. Let me make this connection, right? I've done this consistently over my 25-year career in business development, and by giving and doing what comes opposite to human nature, I have received 10 times what I would have received if I went out with my hand out.
So you're a big fan on giving, and when the time comes for you to receive, you sit back and receive.
It just comes. You don't even really have to ask. You know, I mean, I do sometimes very, very softly. You know, like, we'd love to help you with that. If we can be helpful to you, let me know. But everybody knows what it is I do and who I represent. And when you give to somebody in a way that they feel like, wow, this guy has really helped me a lot, they're looking for a way to reciprocate. It's human nature. I could count on 2 fingers the people who didn't take that approach in life out of the thousands of people I dealt with throughout my career.
But how did you learn that, Carl? We talked.
Good question.
How did you learn that? John had to grow up and be the fat kid and with the flip tits, and he's like, I don't like this. Marty had to be called a loser, and he had to learn things. Like, how did you learn? Was it Carl Grant the first, Carl Grant the second to teach Carl Grant the third? Like, how did you learn this, Carl?
No. Actually, I was the opposite of what I'm telling you to be today. I was the guy who always wanted everything from everybody. I wanted to be on top. I wanted to receive. And it really was that awakening that I spoke about when I was 24 years old, when I was trying to get right, to find my future wife. And I read the Bible for the first time, and I came across these radical statements like, it's better to give than to receive. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And I'm like, whoa. Like, he who wishes to be first must be last and servant of all. I'm like, whoa, my head was exploding listening to these words from Jesus. And I'm like, how does that practically apply in business, in life? And so I just went about trying to put those teachings into practice in the marketplace, and voila, they worked. So that's how I came to it.
Yeah. Johnny.
Yeah, I think, it's especially in our current world today, where, it's like everybody, I'm going to make $1 million. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And what they're doing is they're basically chasing the wrong thing. If they chased creating a service and changing lives and making a difference, what they want would come. But when you're constantly focused on, the wrong metric, it's frustrating, and people get burned out because, when you're focused on something that doesn't actually fulfill you, you can only carry that, that path with any pace for so long.
Marty, I know you're a man of faith, and I know that you shared that experience in the show here. When you hear Carl talk about his experience with faith and his experience discovering certain scriptures and certain passages and these lights going on, these aha moments for him, did you experience some of those same aha moments, Marty, as you've explored your relationship with the Bible?
Absolutely, man. First of all, it's great to hear that, because that just validates everything I believe.
Yeah.
But one thing people don't realize is the Bible is a book of human nature, and I've talked about it on here before. And everything that you experience in life, you're gonna find it in the Bible. And I mean, I'm talking about everything, even political stuff. Literally everything. So it's definitely helped me. And now that I'm the younger guy on the show and seeing Carl go through that, it just gives me more hope and more faith for my future.
You know what I like about this too, Carl and Marty and Johnny, is that, we're talking about faith, we're talking about the Bible, but if somebody listens to the show regularly, they go, well, yeah, but this isn't really a hardcore Christian Bible show. No, it's a safe space for humans.
Yep.
Marty drops F-bombs and drops his stories, but he's got his values rooted in what he believes in. And it sounds the same with Carl. And we all need to find something that drives our beliefs, right, Carl?
Yeah. Look, I lived 24 years on the wild side. I've been there, done that. Yeah. Don't need to do that anymore. I'm just glad I don't even tempt myself with that stuff anymore. I don't. What does the Bible say? A dog returns to its vomit, and the washed pig turns to the mud. I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to return to my vomit.
I wanted to add this too about the Bible. You look at certain stories. You look at Moses. You look at Solomon. Those guys were not perfect. David. Oh no. Those guys were nowhere near perfect, and some of them did worse stuff than any of us will ever do in our lives. So. That's good to look at too. A lot of people think of holy, just perfect person that doesn't do anything wrong, and that's not what the Bible's about at all. So
Yeah.
Every one of them, every one of them had sin in their lives. Everyone.
Yep.
The only one that didn't was Jesus, and that's who we all
Exactly.
point to, right? But
Exactly.
every other man, King David, who was
Oh yeah.
yeah. I
Oh,
mean,
man.
he slept with Bathsheba and had her husband killed. You know,
Yep.
and and that reverberated throughout his life. But God blessed him still. You know, because he turned. Right. And so I think what it does is it gives us prescription for how we deal with our screw ups. Right. Because, like Marty, you and I aren't immune to screwing up. You know, I mean, you just read about all the characters in the Bible. They all screwed up at some point. Even Solomon at the end of his life.
Oh yeah.
He had 500 wives and they led him to chasing false gods at the end of his life. I don't want to end that way. You know, it gives you prescriptions as to how not to go. Right. So
Exactly.
I didn't mean to turn this thing into a Bible talk.
No. Hey,
I love it.
I asked the question, right? And I've said this to Marty and John over and over again. This is a safe space for all kind of humans. We don't care what your religion is. We don't care what your sex is, what your, we want to create a safe space for men who want to have conversations like we're having today. It's all about hitting big goals, right?
Well, so, because the bottom, let me just jump in there real quick to back you up, Keith, is that Marty, these guys are basically, they're both talking about how they find inspiration from the Bible.
Yes.
Call it, it's a book.
Yes.
They choose that book. And great. How many books do we talk about that inspire us to do shit? Well, this is just another book, and they find a lot of strength from it. So more power to them.
Yeah, I agree with you, Johnny. And that's I could not agree more with that whole.
Thanks, Johnny.
Yeah,
absolutely, baby.
So, Carl, I got a final question for you as we work towards wrapping up our chat here today. Carl, the real power lies in mastering the micro moves to achieve that mindset shift of how to achieve more with less. It's less about the dramatic leaps and more about the steady momentum that builds until progress just becomes, frankly, inevitable. Carl, as you've gone through your professional journey, your personal journey, how have you approached that tension between the big goals that you have over there, but focusing on the small, daily, repetitive wins? And before I finish the question, is it rooted in your beliefs in the Bible, Carl? Is that what's allowed you to approach that tension about that's the big goal? I'm going to use my daily habits with the Bible to help me focus on the small daily wins. Carl.
Well, the Bible comes into play in those moral decisions, right? Because you live well, you take good care of yourself, you maintain a good appearance, it's going to invite temptations into your life, right?
Yes.
So I thank God I've never given in to the temptations in the 30 years I've been married, and I don't intend to. But they surround you when you live that way. So making those decisions, you will not do this, that will ruin your marriage, right? But the same thing holds true, and I'm not going to attribute all this to the Bible. It's to self-will when it comes to what you put in your mouth, right? I look at dessert just like John. I'm sure you do. You look at that dessert looks good, right? But I know that, like, what do they say? A moment on the lips, forever on the hips, right? I make those decisions. I do take a cheat day. I do take a cheat day on Saturdays, where I blow through all the rules. It's hard. It's hard for me to break it, but 6 days a week, I am as disciplined as can be. And it goes with the same type of discipline in the work life, right? I know that by doing the right thing by the other people I'm put in contact with, in the long run, it's going to pay off. But I have to discipline myself every day to say, do this for this person, help this person. This works, right? Because I, like everybody else, am flesh and human. I'm tempted to go by the easy path, but I know that the hard path and the right path, doing right by that other person, will pay off in the long run. And so I try to do that day in and day out, and I have to remind myself every day, and even in how I speak to my wife, you might be tempted to say something that you can't take back, but you got to stop yourself. Like you got to put the right words out of your mouth. You got to apologize when you've done something wrong. If we're in an argument and she's 80% wrong and I'm 20% wrong, I got to go apologize for my 20%. Maybe I just spoke improperly. And I got to say, I'm sorry for speaking harshly to you. And you know what? That typically will solve the problem if you just own up for what you've done. And so it's not the easy things that I'm telling people to do. It's the hard things. And I wrote about that, all about that in How to Live the Abundant Life, because I think those are lessons that can help people. And that's why I took the time to write it.
Awesome. Carl Grant III joining us here, Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends. How to Live the Abundant Life with Carl Grant. Carl, where can folks find you? How can folks connect with you? And how can folks get your book, Carl?
Well, when you put the third on the end of my name, I'm pretty easy to find. He Googled Carl Grant III, and I pop up all over the place. So you can find me on LinkedIn. Shoot me a note that you heard me on the podcast, or read the book, or find me on Instagram, carl.grant.iii. I would love to connect with you.
Awesome. Carl, I'd like to have you back sometime, and I want to tell you I want to have you back. I want to have you back to have the conversation about something I've been learning from Johnny and Marty. And I want to invite you back to have a conversation about getting rid of the cheat day. And I want to have you back about the conversation about why we, because I've been one of them with you, Carl, why we work so hard for so many days to unravel it all in one day. And I want to invite you back to the conversation to sit down with myself and Johnny. And I want to hear some things that John have taught me around this idea of working towards why do we want to undo all the greatness by a cheat day and reframing that. So not here calling you out negatively. I just want to invite you back to just invite you back to listen to some things that I've been learning from Johnny around this whole idea of the cheat day and perhaps reframing that. And you strike me as a fellow who will be open to having this dialogue with myself, John, and Marty around reframing the cheat day. Carl, would you do that? Johnny, would you do that?
Anybody who's sporting arms like Johnny there, I'd be happy to have a conversation.
Yeah, because I'll tell you, both John and Marty have been reframing my idea around that. And I'd like to have you back to, I think we'll have a conversation around the cheat day and eating for purpose instead of pleasure. Carl, have a great day. You come back. It's now time for the John Anderson lifestyle tip of the day. And we got Johnny on the stage for a lifestyle tip. It's going to help you get.
Let's go.
Thank you, Carl.
Yeah, thank you, Carl.
Yep.
Pleasure talking with you today.
Nice meeting you.
Awesome. Thanks, Carl. See you, brother.
All right, here we go. Check this out. Stop surrounding yourself with people who want something from you and trade them in for the people who want something for you. Now, let's break that down. What does that mean? Well, there's two types of people. There's the people that don't handle their shit. They don't take care of themselves. They're not self-sufficient, and their lives just seem to have all sorts of issues and problems, and they're constantly calling on you to help fix what they're not handling in their life. Then there's the people who are self-sufficient. They're doing their shit. They're handling their business, and they're working on great things. And they want you to join their party. They want you to do well like they're doing. So they want something for you. So it's time to do some friend inventory. Look at your friends, look who you're surrounded with, and decide who is it that wants something from you and who is it that wants something for you. Time to make a change. Time to look at the people who want something for you, surround yourself with them so you can get what you want. It's that simple.
So I love that, Johnny. I love what you drop every day here at 8:45. John Anderson Lifestyle Tips. We're here, mindset shift, how to achieve more with less. Today we got AJ Zeglin hanging out with us for the Minefield. What's up, Zeglin?
What's up, guys? How you guys doing today?
What's up, Zeglin?
What's up, brother?
You good there,
Did we
AJ?
lose Keith? Oh, yeah, I thought we lost Keith.
No,
everybody's here.
I'm here. So AJ, we're here to hang out with Minefield today. We're talking about how to achieve less with more. And you and I talked a little bit yesterday. I sent you a note here before the show, and I said, "Hey, let's talk about this idea of no, right? And let's talk about this idea about where is my note here today? I lost it here. We talked about this idea of saying no, AJ, and the power of saying no. And we're talking today about mindset shift, how to achieve more with less. And often we got to say no before we can get yes done. Let's get into it, AJ, and talk about mental toughness and saying no for more. AJ.
Yeah, I mean, you guys were just talking about the idea of reframing something, right? So I think that's where we start at. When we hear the word no, when we hear a word like boundaries, and we bring in boundaries, and they sound very restrictive, right? They have a negative connotation to them. But really using the word no, establishing boundaries is really connected to our growth. They're
Yes.
opportunities that allow us to continue to grow and challenge ourselves. So, when we're saying no, I believe we had a conversation here maybe a couple of weeks ago, and I think it was John that had mentioned, when you're saying no to something, you're really saying yes to something else.
Yes.
And right. So it's that reframing it, right? When I'm creating a boundary, I'm not putting up a wall, right?
Yes.
I'm not building this brick wall that doesn't allow me to grow or see or learn or anything, what's on the other side of that wall. When I'm creating a boundary, it's like I'm drawing a line, but there's no obstruction to my view of the world and my experiences and what I could take in and what I can learn and continue to grow. So it's really just about us reframing, shifting how we see those words, the word no, the idea of a boundary, and realizing that it's really about our growth potential.
Good morning, Shinku. I see you there. AJ, you and I chatted yesterday about boundaries, and we were both, really kind of excitedly leaning into it because society has always, at least from my perspective, my point of view, used boundaries as a negative. There's a guy listening to us right now. I'm going to say Johnny growing up, and he hears boundaries like, wait a minute. Shoulders go up, chest goes up. Marty's like, boundary? What do you mean? I don't want a boundary. No, what are you talking about? You're putting some constraint around me? AJ, talk about how boundaries actually can be and perhaps might want to be reframed as a positive attribute instead of a negative. A boundary with our partner, a boundary with our children, a boundary with our own mirror. Let's talk about how we can reframe this idea of a boundary, AJ. And maybe that's what we want to do here in the lab with our audience over time is creating a mindset shift that boundaries are a good word and a good thing to lean into. AJ Zeglin.
Right. Yeah. So it's exactly as you described. It is a potential for us to grow. Right. So our boundaries that we currently have for ourselves, we'll create a boundary based on our experiences, and based on our experiences and our beliefs at the time, we generally create a set of rules for ourselves. Right. So, you might have, I'm trying to think of a good kind of basic example here. Maybe someone with like agoraphobia. So they're afraid of leaving the house and going outside. Right. They've created that rule for themselves that if they do something like that, something bad is going to happen, whatever that may be. Right. So, okay, let's create a boundary now for yourself. So your boundary is, you're going to go outside, but we're not going to leave your front yard, and I'm going to go with you. So we're going to be together. Right. And that's your new boundary. Right. So that's not restrictive. That's actually about growth. That's walking you right to the edge of your comfort zone, and then supporting you to grow and become better. Right. So now we've done that, and you're able to go in your front yard. We've created that boundary. Now we're like, okay, do I need this rule for myself anymore? I've been out in my front yard with you 30 days in a row and nothing bad has happened. Okay. Well, now maybe let's go for a walk around the block down the street, but I'm still going to stay with you. Right. So that's the new boundary that you've created for yourself. To still keep yourself safe, but it's not from a restrictive process. We're creating that boundary, and then we're pushing it until it doesn't serve us anymore. We don't need that rule anymore, and then we're extending that boundary, right? So it's all about growing.
Marty, Johnny, in many ways, what he's talking about, Marty, I'm going to throw on the table here that, as we talked about with Carl, the Bible probably is in many ways creates boundaries for you. Right. And Johnny, the systems, the principles, the habit stackings that you have built over time, in many ways, those are your boundaries. Right. So as Marty, as you read scripture and read your passages on a daily basis and you process that creates a boundary for you on how you make decisions and so forth. Would that be a fair assumption of mine, Marty?
Yeah, definitely. So if I feel like the scriptures have made me who I am,
yes,
that means that I'm aligned with it. So if it doesn't align with the scripture, then that's one of my boundaries right there. I'm not trying to act like I'm super holy or anything like that, but just the basic, the foundation of it. So discipline, consistency, being lazy, complaining. Just certain things like that are in the Bible. Those things don't. Those are boundaries I don't cross right there. I'm not doing that.
Well, and it absolutely makes sense. And Johnny, and I come to the same question, but AJ. I guess what we're in many ways talking about, it's the same way when I published the Business Athlete Manifesto, right?
Yeah, for sure. Sorry, you froze on me there for a second, Keith.
I think I got you still, AJ. I think Marty's still here too.
Yeah, I'm with you, AJ. I'm with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I think he was going to come to me next. So what I was going to say about boundaries is, I have habits, my systems of life. This is the way that I live, and that creates my boundaries. But what's really important is that, of course, that's my space. But what it really does is it actually creates a boundary for those around me. They understand where they can come and where they can't. They understand, my buddies are going to understand that they're not going to ask me to go drinking, because when I chose to dive into a high performing lifestyle and live a different way, I created new boundaries for myself. And when I honored those boundaries to the point where they saw I wasn't fucking around, excuse my language, they honored those boundaries. And now the boundaries, they work on both sides of the fence. They keep you where you need to be, but they also keep the people out that you want out of your space. So the boundary is like, it's so powerful. But the crazy thing is that people create boundaries for themselves and they don't stick to them. They don't actually honor them all the time. So the people around them, they won't honor them either. So the people got to understand, if you want to create boundaries that other people are going to obey, you got to do it yourself first. And you got to do it all the time. Because when they say, it's like, someone say a vegan, they call themselves a chegan, they cheat. Well, what do you think? Your buddy that's not a vegan, he's, come on, come and have a hamburger with me, because he knows you really don't subscribe. There's little places where you'll veer. So the boundary, just for everybody listening, you got to understand that boundary is powerful. You got to honor it yourself 100% of the time if you want the people around you to do it as well.
It's like that saying, you treat people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. Right?
Yes. That's so powerful, brother.
And I will say, so I mean, I love the topic of boundaries, because I do think it's probably one of those terms now that I think has been misused almost in some sort of ways. And and it gets thrown out, just like, despite what the internet would have us believe now, like not everyone that shows self-confidence is a narcissist. Not everyone who disagrees with you is gaslighting you, right? And there's, but those are almost kind of become real kind of things, right? And where where they've actually, I think, like hampered communication for us, right? And so I think that boundaries, again, even when we have a boundary, I like to use that visual representation of it being a line and not a wall, because if we're having a conversation about something and we've both established each other's boundaries, but we've put up brick walls, well, now now we can't be open to new ideas. We can't be open to seeing the world in a different way, or shifting our perspective, or just having great communication about something. We can't even see each other. But if we both have a boundary, and it could be about any type of topic that we've created for ourselves, but it's just a line that we've drawn. Yeah, I can still see you guys. We can still visually see each other, communicate with each other. And it gives me the opportunity to always reevaluate myself, right? And be like, I've had this boundary about this thing, but now I'm talking to John and see Marty, and they've really kind of shifted my perspective a little bit on this. Do I have an opportunity for growth here? Maybe my boundary needs to be, extended a little bit or brought in a little bit. Maybe I'm not doing a good enough job honoring it, or maybe I need to let more in. There's all these possibilities that exist when we keep an open line of communication. And I think boundaries allow us to do that.
100%. And I so agree with what you said at the beginning, brother. Excuse me, about boundaries are kind of demonized. It's because generally speaking, people don't have the discipline or the balls or the guts to establish them. So of course, if you can't do it, you're gonna talk shit about it. And there's enough people that can't do it. There's more shit talkers talking about boundaries than there are the people that use them. So of course, the masses are gonna look at it like, oh, boundaries. No, boundaries is what helps you become a better you. You just don't have the discipline to do it, And then on that level too, I love what you're talking about, because your boundaries are they're going to kind of shrink and expand, so to speak. They're never going to be in the same spot. And this goes back to what I was saying earlier. if you establish the fact that when you set a boundary, that's it, you're going to follow it. You can move those boundaries around and people won't mess with you. But if every time you move a boundary, it falls apart, you're never going to have the people around you respect your boundaries. So you got to understand, it's just even like with my clients all the time, they start getting in great shape. They're feeling better, and their families are like, when are you going to start eating normal again? I tell them, look, the reason they're doing that is because you have let yourself down so many times before. They're waiting for you to basically fall off again. So if you stick to this long enough, they will get behind you, but you've got to do it long enough for them to believe. And realistically, you have to believe so that you do it long enough, and then they will believe. And then, it's again, comes right back to leading, you lead yourself first and you lead yourself well. And I love what you said, brother. You're basically teaching people how to treat you, because if you won't allow them to do something because of your boundaries, they'll learn real quick what they can and can't do.
Right.
Yeah. AJ, you got to wrap it up.
Yeah. I got about a minute or here so, and then I got to get back in the gym.
All good. Hey,
why
go
don't
ahead,
you
leave
us with a little something about someone that wants to go about setting some boundaries. Where do they start, brother? Because you always give us such great pearls of wisdom in terms of somebody that wants to get out of the gate. How would you say that someone can go about starting their journey of setting boundaries for themselves?
Yeah. So I think it's about identifying the type of person that you want to be, right? Mm-hmm. So if you have this clear vision of this is the type of person I want to be, and then we think, okay, what types of things would this person do? Right. Mm-hmm. Okay. And now I start to compile a list for myself, right? I create a little bit of structure for myself or some boundaries for myself, right? Like, if we're talking about, hey, I really want to get in a better shape and take control of my health. We were just talking about from the working out perspective with your clients there, John. Then they might say, okay, well, what does that look like? Well, I think people that really take control of their health, don't eat fast food. They don't go to McDonald's every day. Okay, well, here's a boundary I just created for myself, or a rule I created for myself, that like, I'm not eating fast food anymore. I'm not going to those restaurants. Right. And then now you have a boundary for yourself, right? You've created a boundary. And when you follow it, like you said, when you stick to it, then people are going to stop asking you to go. Maybe your buddies at work every morning are like, hey, let's go get Egg McMuffins. And, the first day you're like, I don't eat there anymore. And they're like, what are you talking about? And then you're like, day 2, day 3, day 4. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, this guy really doesn't eat there anymore. That's a boundary he's created for himself. That's cool. He's looking after himself, trying to take care of himself. And that's really where you start, right? Is just determining like, who do I want to be? What's the type of person I want to be? What do I think the things are that type of person would do? Start small, start with a couple of them, and those rules or those boundaries, and you're giving yourself something out of it, though. That's what I always want people to understand about boundaries. It's about growth, and you're giving yourself something, like we said before, and what you mentioned, John. When you're saying no to something, you're really saying yes to something else that's more important for you, that's more in line with the type of person that you want to be and the things you want to accomplish.
Yeah, that's good stuff, brother. So basically starting simple and starting small. That's kind of with the boundaries. That's really cool, brother. Good stuff. Well, hey, I think Keith's back there working the keyboard. So AJ, I know you got to go. So thank you for joining us. And
appreciate you, AJ.
I appreciate you guys too, man. I genuinely look forward to these 15-minute segments like twice a week.
I do too, brother.
My calendar, and I was talking to Keith last night, just telling him how much I've enjoyed being a part of it and how much I enjoy both of you guys, and just getting to have these conversations a couple times a week. I really enjoy it. So
we appreciate you, man.
Brother. Yeah, we appreciate you, brother. These conversations are good for everybody, ourselves included.
Great segments, man.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks,
All
team.
right, AJ. See you Tuesday, man.
Thanks, AJ. Thanks, Marty. Thanks, Johnny. I appreciate you guys. Man, I got a good team. I appreciate you guys sticking up for me when my internet.
Absolutely.
AJ, do you got a roll, or can you stick around?
Oh, sorry. I was just on my way. I do got a roll. I got people.
Yeah, he's on his way out
right away. So,
yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. I appreciate you, AJ. Have a good one, brother.
See you next week.
Yeah. Jeez, Marty, I don't know what's going on with my internet here today, but it's just one of those things where it's like all of a sudden, it's funny because you learn lessons when you do these live things. And when I was back in the ICUC days building the company there, we had double, triple redundant internet situations happening, John and Marty, where you're like, okay, internet goes down, you got to flip the second one on, eh? So, but that's how.
Well, here's the deal, brother. If things go haywire, Marty and I, we can drive the ship all the way that we get into port, but you got to come back and turn it off.
Oh, listen,
come on, man. Come on, man.
I'm going to tell you guys something. I'm going to tell you both something that old Keith, like younger Keith, 30, 40-year-old Keith would have been all frustrated and flustered, but it happened. I looked at my phone. I texted Jimmy. I'm like, all right, I got an internet issue. I'm going to go reset the router. I texted Marty, Marty, it's all yours. And here's what this does for me. This tells me that I can go take some time off. And I mean, this is a compliment. It means okay, I can take a day off. I can go for a weekend. I can go for a vacation whenever I decide to do that, because I got some great guys take the show over, and Marty's used to doing this live stuff.
Well, I was about to say, Johnny could talk all day.
Well, fuck you, between the two.
Johnny could get a live camera and just go 24/7 all day, nonstop. So
dude,
you got the right guys.
My podcast is literally, it's just me, and I just run for 30 minutes. Nobody to talk to.
Nobody to talk to. That's what I did last night.
And I even doing like a video. There's not even it's just me talking about a topic.
Oh, just talking. Wow. That's
just
crazy.
Straight talking about a topic. Hey, this is what we're going to talk about today. Let me fill your ears with 30 minutes of nuggets. Let's go.
That's actually impressive. That's actually really impressive. And it's a skill.
It is a skill. I was talking to a friend of mine who worked for the big for the big AM broadcasting radio station here in Winnipeg, and he's like, Keith, when you do talk radio like we're doing, Marty or Johnny, he goes, find in your brain, pretend you're talking to one human being, and if you can mash that, that's a skill. And I've seen you do your job, Marty, and I've seen you do it, Johnny, and you guys are good at it. You can talk to the microphone as if you're talking to somebody, and not everybody can do this. It is tough because you got to imagine that somebody's listening to you, right? So, Shinku, I see you there in the comments. Fit presenter, Mike.
Oh, Keith, get on the horizontal. Get on the horizontal, Keith.
Oh, am I not there? Oh, yeah, I guess I got to get you there too, eh?
Yeah.
Hey, Jimmy, can we get me onto the horizontal there, brother? I'm going to do that there as well. I see a comment from Mike.
Marty. I missed that. I didn't see he was on. I didn't see he was on.
What's going on? That Greek plumber, I see you there as well. Good to see you guys this morning. And we got that Greek plumber saying, my business is booming. I always tell my people who work with me, I want to hear about the negative and positive feedback. Yes, that Greek plumber. It's funny, right? Because we always want to hear the positive stuff from our customers, and we never invite the negative feedback. And customers,
that's powerful, man. Yeah, I mean, I said when I'm done with a client, I say, hey, I want you to grade me, please.
Yes.
Tell me what I could do better. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you didn't like. And the best part is that the official time is over. But I say, look, if there's something that I can do better that I can do now, I'm still going to do it, because my job is to create an amazing customer experience. And if I somehow miss something, I'll take accountability for it and I will hammer it down.
There you go. Hey, I see you, but Bazayu, you want to roast us, but YouTube gave me a warning. Well, hey, give us a roast. Let's give Marty's like, give us a roast.
I already was on it. Yeah.
We want to see the roast. And Marty, Johnny, do you like, what kind of roast do you like? Do you like a flank roast, a rump roast? What kind of roast do you like, Marty?
Brother, it would come if it's fucking coming from a cow, I'm gonna eat it.
Yes, we know the answer to that question. Is there
Jesus Christ,
meat you don't, Johnny?
Brother, I've eaten some fucking crazy meats, man. I mean, I've eaten like raw horse.
What the fuck?
Raw horse.
What?
Yeah, I've eaten actually, the craziest one. This is trippy. It was literally a squid that they cut the head off right in front of me, and then cut the legs. And when I was eating the leg, it's still moving around like this, right? And they said, listen to me closely. You got to chew that thing all the way, because if you try to swallow it, it's still moving around. That thing is going to grab a hold of the suction cups right here, and people choke to death from this shit. So take this seriously. Do not put that thing in your mouth and chew like a wild man until that thing stops moving before you try to swallow. Crazy.
Keith and Marty just
I don't even know what to say.
And then
I probably wouldn't have ate that shit.
No.
Well, then I ate. There's another one too. This is in Japan. It's called a puffer fish. And if they prepare that thing wrong, it'll kill you too.
Yes.
You know, God, I've been in so many different cultures, and I'm always excited to try different. It's normal to them. It's and that's the thing too, is that I don't allow myself to say, "Ooh, I'm not going to do that." I'm going to do things. Yeah, I'm gonna experience different shit, and I think I really, as a little guy who had a hard time doing what the other kids couldn't.
Yes,
I fucking take pride in doing the shit that the adults won't.
Lauren, some things are better left unsaid, Johnny.
What are we talking about? What are we talking about? The squid? What was so wrong with the squid?
I think Good Time's laughing too. So I think it's just
Good Time's definitely cracking up.
You got everybody in stitches there, Johnny, with some of the food stories, man. Hey, when you were in North Korea, I want to keep going here with you, man. When you're in what did they feed you in North Korea? And how did you know it was like safe food?
Well, I'll tell you, brother. We've all had Korean barbecue.
Yeah.
You never had fucking Korean barbecue until you have that shit in fucking communist country like North Korea. That's a different level of Korean barbecue. It was good. I mean, they fed us. It was like a dream. I mean, we're in this big hotel, and literally we could come downstairs into the dining room at any time of the day or night, sit down, and you'd have multiple waiters come out, and they didn't have a menu. You just tell them what you want, and they would go get it. It was crazy.
Dude.
Yeah.
Speaking of dreams, before we flip to In the Gym here, and I know the show's been kind of a little bit. Before we go to In the Gym, researchers in California, for the first time ever, have successfully achieved a first chat, Marty, between two dreaming humans.
That's crazy.
Oh shit.
That is crazy. So I was reading this morning, a startup called REM Space have achieved some neurotech company where they have successfully twice now induced lucid dreams and exchanged a simple message. So the company claimed that the participants were sleeping at their homes on September 24th when their specially developed apparatus remotely tracked their data through Wi-Fi. So in other words, Marty's sleeping over there, Keith's sleeping over here, and they successfully connected the two. And what it says here is that the company server detected that one of the candidates had entered a lucid dream state. It generated a random word, and it repeated it to the other person via earbuds.
Yeah, we're capable of a lot more than we understand.
It's just crazy.
I'm a firm believer in that. We'll have to hold a different topic for another conversation, another show. But Terry's got some pretty crazy ability to do some weird shit like that.
Yeah, well, yeah, you and I've talked a little bit about that. So yeah, I would like to. I'd be interested in talking about that a little bit. But
literally, I'll just share one little nugget with you, right? So she goes actually to these different schools where she learns how to do more of it, right?
Yeah.
And so she's at basically one of these schools, and she's learning how to do it. And she was in Arizona. I was in California, and she's doing one of their exercises where she's supposed to try to go and try to see what I'm doing, right, at home.
Yeah.
And so basically, I was at home and I was feeding the dogs, and I was mixing the wet food in with the dry food. So I'm banging around this bowl, right? And she calls me. She goes, "Were you mixing something in the bowl?"
What?
It's like,
That's
yeah,
crazy.
5 minutes ago I was stirring up the dog's food. Yeah, crazy shit.
That is crazy shit.
She goes, were you mixing something making a clanking sound? I'm hearing a clanking sound. Yeah. Metal clanking sound. That's called the spoon in a dog's bowl of steel dog's bowl.
Marty, I think we're gonna have to have Terry on the show for a week of Terry shows, talking about living with Johnny, talking about Johnny's stories, talking about what Terry talks about in her head and how Terry feeds Johnny, Terry time, Marty. We can have a whole list of Terry topics with Johnny, I think. Marty.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be the truth. Johnny's exaggerating a little bit.
No, you'll actually see it's the other way. I kind of play it down a little bit because most people don't fucking believe the shit that I'm saying. But when someone else says it about me, then it's different.
All right. Okay, listen, the show's been a little bit all over the place, taking some technical issues, but it's all fine. Marty and John got the thing under control. I'm going to step off stage for a few minutes. I want these guys to get into the gym segment so we can create some content for our In the Gym podcast, the In the Gym show, which I know you guys enjoy seeing over on YouTube, a segment, 12, 13-minute segment with these two guys talking in the gym stuff. Today, we're going to focus on achieving more in the gym by doing less. And often we think we have to do more. So, John, Marty, talk to Business Athlete Nation. I see Shinku there, Good Time there, Fit Presenter, that Greek plumber. Some guys are hitting the gym today and they think, I got to go crush a 2-hour workout, or I got to go crush more today. I want to get you guys encouraging our audience to think about doing less today, thinking smarter instead of harder for today's In the Gym segment. Jimmy, I'm going to get off the stage for a few minutes. These guys are going to rock and roll. We'll come back and do the community corner and work towards wrapping up the show. All right, you boys, let's rock and roll, guys.
Get it.
So check this out, Marty. I have this kind of analogy that I use with clients to help them understand what it means to do too much versus too little. So, So basically the back of your hand, it's kind of tender skin, right? So if you take a piece of sandpaper on this hand and you come up and you go 1, 2, 3, and then you go away and you come back, you keep coming like 1, 2, 3. Well, if that pace of coming back is too rapid, basically you're going to tear that skin up and it's going to start to bleed. Right?
Yep.
Now, if that pace of coming back maintains, you're going to just chew a hole in your hand, meaning you're actually just burning up muscle tissue, so to speak. You're actually become catabolic. Now, if you slow the pace of coming back with the 1, 2, 3, that scab will heal. And basically that scab will turn into a callus. Now you're building. So you have to understand that the 1, 2, 3 and the pace of 1, 2, 3 has to do with the frequency of your workouts and how much you're doing. So the key is you're better off to do a little less, because then you're building that callus, versus you do a little too much. Now you're eating a hole in your hand. That summarizes how the body is going to either build muscle tissue or basically go catabolic with muscle tissue. Did that make sense to you, brother?
Absolutely, man. So pretty much what Johnny is saying is you go to the gym consistently, right? You habit stack, you put those daily deposits in, or 5 times a week, 3 times a week, 4 times a week, whatever your foundation is. You do that consistently. It's better than going intense for 30 days. Or intense for 2 weeks, or intense for 1 day, and then you don't go back to the gym for another 5 or 6 days. That's pretty much what Johnny is saying. And when you do these consistent days, you can do maybe, if you don't have a lot of time, you might can get away with 30 or 40 minutes, right?
Yes.
It doesn't have to be an hour or two. Go ahead, John. What were you about to say?
I was just going to back up what you're saying, because the people that are going crazy, they're too intense and they're going too fast for that 30 days, they can't maintain that pace anyway. So all they're doing is chewing a hole in their hand, so to speak, and then they get burned out. So they have a bad experience across the board. Versus when you pick a pace that you can maintain, 1, 2, 3, there's some time, the body heals. 1, 2, 3, there's some time. It's not too much. Next thing you know, you're building that callus. And so this is the perfect example of less is more. Now, I love what you said, brother, because not many people actually have the consistency and do too much. That rarely happens. But what happens all the time is what you said, and that is so key, is that people they start off and they go like fucking gangbusters for 30 days, 40 days, and they tear themselves all the shit, and then they don't feel good, and then they quit. That is literally that you can't make a worse choice. That's literally, and unfortunately, and I get it, people get all motivated. Well, you got to realize that. Take that motivation and put it on working on the habits, building the habits, work on the diet, because here's the formula. The formula that works is called work over time. That's it.
That's it. Simple.
And you don't have to do that much work when you're doing it on a schedule and you have the consistency. And it's that simple.
And exactly. And then I want to highlight something you said, might have been last week or a couple weeks ago, where you said, you'll pick a day, it's not even every week, but you just like obliterate your legs or obliterate your back. Like you just go crazy. You pick one day to go absolutely insane. And when you're when you're in the gym consistently, you don't have to kill yourself every day. You don't have to be sore every day. You don't have to you don't have to leave with your cup being empty every day. You can still have a little bit in the tank when you leave. So that's another part. Yep.
Well, and the thing about that is, like for me, that's something that when I was younger, I used to be able to train harder more often, and I could still recover and do so. There's that piece of me that loves that. Just okay, I'm gonna just mess myself up. But like you said, it's once in a while, and usually I'm gonna take a rest day right after that to make sure that I'm recovered. But the whole thing about this is when you put in that consistency, and I guess the thing is this is in our minds somehow we connected, and you just kind of hit on this. We connect that we have to walk out of there feeling we got raped by an ape. You know what I mean? No, that's not. You don't want to feel like that because you're not going to want to come back tomorrow. You want to train with the guards that felt good, and I can't wait to come back tomorrow. And like you said, if you empty out your cup, the odds are you're not going to have enough back in your cup tomorrow to want to return. So think of training as more of like I want to train to feel good. And once I feel good, I want to just maintain that feeling good. And it becomes kind of a way of life. I mean, for us, of course, we train for lots of reasons, but one of the primaries because it feels good. It makes me happy. It gives me the hormones that my brain releases, that it feels great. And I'm energized. It's like my day is better when I break a sweat. So when you're doing this, think of it from a different perspective. You start to think of it from like, man, I want to train to feel good. Then you don't have to kill yourself to feel good. And it becomes real easy to understand that finding, hey, I can go home a little early if I'm feeling it today. And that's part of what's going to make me feel good tomorrow.
Yep. And we got Lauren's comment. She says, create a schedule of stressing the body on some days and then have them anchored with recovery days. Absolutely. That and you have that program in your mind. Okay, Monday I'm doing this, Tuesday I'm doing this, Wednesday I'm doing this, Thursday I'm doing this. You don't want to be in a constant state of recovery. That absolutely fit presenter. And then another thing I wanted to bring up was the nutrition. And Carl kind of brought it up earlier, talking about the Atkins diet and how extreme that was. And now he kind of moderates, he doesn't go that extreme anymore. Another thing, you don't want to go on an extreme diet that you can't maintain for a long time. Because if you can't maintain that diet for a long time, you're not going to be able to maintain those results that you got from that extreme diet for a long time.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, it's so true, bro. That's so true. I mean, there's one thing that we can help people understand about the whole drill of training and nutrition. Yep. It's pick a pace that you can maintain. Once you maintain that, if you want a little more, take a little more. But it's about finding what works for you. Everybody is different. I mean, I love to train, but I'm 52 years old. Unfortunately, I don't get to train as much at this age as I could when I was 32 or 22. Yep. But less is more. And, at the same time, if I beat myself up too much, I don't feel good. I don't make the gains. I don't make the progress. So just remember, everybody's formula is different. You got to continue to understand and listen to your body. But remember, if you keep this one thought in mind, it's going to be a game changer. The formula called work over time. If you subscribe to that, you're going to be just fine.
I got a question for both you guys. It's not always about lifting the heaviest weight in the gym.
No.
It's not always about going to hit the 225 on the bench or the 250 on the bench. Marty, John, lean into this idea of sometimes less weights, more repetition, more focus. Like tune into this idea that it's not always, I got to hit the 405 on the squat rack. No, actually, maybe you want to hit the 135 on the squat rack and you want to slow your pace down and you want to increase your time under tension. Talk a little bit about this idea of dialing back weight loads.
Well, I mean, I could literally speak to that on my last chest day. Is I got in there and I got myself warmed up, and I was really warm. I actually did what you could actually call a pre-exhaust exercise just to make sure that I was really ready to go. And I started doing some dumbbell pressing, and my left shoulder was just, it wasn't letting me have it. I was stressed. I was open. And as I'm doing this, it was just, when I say it wasn't having it, the tweak or the pain, whatever you want to call it, was getting slightly worse, not slightly better. So I had to bail on the dumbbell presses, which I was kind of bummed about, but I just snapped out. Okay, listen, dude, the goal is to walk out there feeling like you got a good workout. So I ended up doing machines for the rest of the day so that I could focus on putting in a good effort without actually making whatever's going on my shoulder worse. I walked out of there feeling like $1 million. Had I been stubborn and stayed there and tried to push through it, I probably wouldn't be doing chest this week.
Well, that happens for much of us where we become stubborn and push through it. Marty, lean into this same example. Less is more in many occasions.
Yeah, less is definitely more. And just to piggyback on Johnny, your body's going to talk to you, right?
Yes.
So there's a difference between being a bitch and and actually being hurt and you can't push through, right? When it's unbearable and you feel like you're about to injure yourself, okay, that's a sign you need to do something different, all right?
Being a bitch is not showing up.
There you go.
It's true.
Exactly. No, exactly. So, don't listen to that bitch voice.
Yeah.
Simple.
And get after it when you can. So, and make adjustments as you have to. And I it's funny, Johnny, here he's commenting the machines, because didn't we talk yesterday about machines are wrecking the gyms?
Oh yeah, we got to talk about that.
Sure. When it comes down to it, like on a dumbbell incline press or a dumbbell, say, flat press, you're not using a ton of core, but you are using some core. What people have really got, where they really run to the machines, is the leg stuff. And the leg stuff is where your core really, or the overhead stuff. Even if you're doing there are some machines, even with overhead, you're still going to work your core. So you got to think of some of these movements that you just got to keep in. But yeah, when it comes down to it, the way I look at it is the machine is that thing that you use when you just fall back to getting the work done because you can't use the free weight. That's the way I look at it.
There you go. All right, in the gym with John and Marty, the segment we drop every day at 9:15 Eastern time. Content and conversation to help you guys get fit in the gym with expert advice from these two guys who drop it every single day. Guys, I think we're going to wrap up the show here. We've had some technical issues. I have, not you guys. You guys have been awesome the whole show. You guys have been carrying old Uncle Keith here today. John and Marty are going to rock and roll. We're going to do the Creator Spotlight Community Corner. Then we're going to slowly work towards wrapping up our conversation here today. But boys, let's go around the table quickly. Johnny, highlight today for you, besides Keith not being here for half the show?
Well, I do honestly. I kind of love the fact that it's the show doesn't go perfect. Great, it's okay.
Agree. Yep,
shit happens. Life happens. We audible. We keep going. It's not like Marty and I sat there with our thumbs up our butts. We kept rolling with the topics. We kept having fun with it. Yeah. So I love that. I think that even like yesterday when I stepped on my dick more than once in my segments, it's like, God damn, okay, wear it on your sleeve. It's okay. Shit happens. So I like the fact that we just let shit hang out because we're never going to be perfect and it's okay.
Yeah. And before I throw to Marty with the same thing, I just want to echo that because, and I want to beat this drum for 20 or 30 seconds. Too often folks get so focused on it having to be perfect.
Yes.
Right. And I love the fact that, because that's what we're trying to do here, because guys sometimes roll over and they hit the snooze alarm. You do. Sometimes you go over and you hit in the fridge, and you make a bad decision. You do. Right. And sometimes the internet doesn't work on the show. You do. Sometimes you're going to go to your meeting at work in the Zoom meeting and your kid's going to come into the room or the dog's going to come through. All fucking flustered. Come on, everybody. Just chill out, man. Right. I think that's the whole purpose of this show, right? Keith's alive. Marty's alive. John's alive. There's positivity coming here, right? So, and this also shows what the power of teamwork is, right? So, I'm with you. I'm with you, Johnny. And good times, like, you guys are human. Yeah, we are, and we fuck up and make mistakes, and we do our building this airplane as we fly here. But Marty, what did you take out of the show today, brother?
Hey man, we like the Boston Celtics, man. You Jason Tatum. John came through like Jaylen Brown, and I'm Drew Holiday. We got your back. It's all good.
I love it, man. I love that. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yes, sir.
All right, so you guys are going to rock and roll out of here. I have something I'm going to be throwing over onto your plate here, I suspect, later today, Mr. Christopher Martin and John Anderson. Probably Marty first. It's something that I've been working on quietly behind the scenes a lot, and it's going to be shown into your inbox, and it is the League of Business Athletes Nation. We got something coming up here around, we got November coming, no month, but I'm just going to tease you here. 100 days transform your life with the League of Business Athletes. Are you feeling stuck, unsatisfied, or know you're capable of more? Yeah. The League, a transformative 100-day experience designed for you guys, 25 to 54-year-old men who want to break free. You want to become a leader in your career, your health, your personal life. You're going to sit down and work with myself, Marty, Johnny, AJ, Jory, Rich. Yeah. Nothing like it on the planet. Coming soon from the Business Athlete Performance Lab and coming from us. So if you guys have been tuning in and you're wondering how you guys can take that next step, how you can work with John or Marty or Keith and all of us together, because you can work with Marty individually or Johnny individually. We got something the market hasn't seen before, and we're calling it the League, coming very soon. So John and Marty, I'm excited to share this with you guys, man. You guys are going to fucking love it.
Check it out.
We're going to talk more about it and going to get some advice from you guys. We're going to roll this thing out because ideally we want to help guys achieve those big goals. We want to run them through the lab here. So guys, listen, I know you guys got to rock and roll. I just want to say on behalf of me to you two, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for helping me out today.
Of course.
Jimmy, I appreciate you helping me as well. The funny thing is, Marty and John, I thought Jimmy was going to be the one who's going to have the challenges today because he's over there with the typhoon there in the Philippines. And he's like, Keith, I'm going to go to my parents to get the internet to make the show work. I'm like, thanks, buddy. I'll be fine. And then I'm like, yeah, Mike, I'm on the 50K baud modem today. So you guys get out of here. Marty, I'm going to come knock on your door today. Okay, brother? And Johnny, you as well. And I'm going to get to the creator spotlight, Jimmy. You guys have a good one, guys, okay? We'll talk to you later.
You too. Yep.
All right. Thanks, boys. I appreciate it.
Yep.
All right. So we're going to keep the show going. Uncle Keith is still here. Yeah, true story. And Uncle Jimmy there, producer Jimmy on the buttons. And at this time, we like to get into what we call the community corner. And Jimmy, I'm going to go look at this camera. I'm looking at the right camera right now. We go to the community corner, and we like to celebrate humans that are doing great things on the planet. Well, my mouse is just not working for me right now. And let's see here. Yeah, just a day of tech not working for Uncle Keith here. Good time, real deal, everybody there. Hope you guys stick around me for a few minutes here. We are going to get into the community corner segment, like I said. And where are my notes? I would do the do part, but producer Flynn would probably give me some grief on that. So I am going to find them right here. And yes, okay, community corner, where we highlight the incredible creators and innovators in our circle. And as you guys know, we've been very much focusing on the LinkedIn platform. We are slowly moving away to Substack and X and Threads and everything else. What's going on, Ben? I see you from Stockholm, Sweden. Ben, you are joining the morning show, the only morning show here in North America, because I know in Stockholm it's not the morning. No, I know. You're probably middle of the day or middle of the afternoon. So we got a morning show here in North America called Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends. My friends left. Yeah, so there's actually there's nobody around me right now. Although we do have good time. We do have good time hanging out with me. We have Real Deal Prime. We got my lovely girl Lauren there hanging out as well. That Greek plumber. Everybody here is tuning into the show. Continue to tune the show, Uncle Keith. So we're going to continue with the Community Corner Creator Spotlight. Today, we're going to spotlight some people who are out there unlocking potential, working smarter, making serious moves. The story I want to highlight today is living proof that no matter where you begin, leveling up is possible with the right mindset habits. So today, we're going to feature a leader in the digital media and sales space. He's a powerhouse in the world of programmatic advertising. I worked in programmatic advertising for a while. I don't know. Sorry. Working with Google to help the biggest brands and agencies in Canada unlock top-tier performance from their ad investments. This spotlight person we're going to shine the light on today is a co-founder driven by psychology and growth. He co-founded, not going to say it, no, got to tease it a little bit. He co-founded a platform that helps people sharpen their persuasion, their persuasion skills, using insights from psychology and behavioral science. This fellow is a community builder, a mentor. He doesn't just focus on business. He gives back through mentoring young professionals, advising early stage startups, and serving on the board of the Daily Bread Food Bank. Today's Creator Spotlight. So, Jimmy, I'm going to try to do a multiple thing here. Today's Creator Spotlight for Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends. And I am going to, Ben, I have not visited Sweden before, but that would be my intention to get to Sweden here sometime. Maybe you can host me when I come to Sweden. So today's Creator Spotlight with Keith and Friends is somebody from Toronto, Canada. He's the head of programmatic media at Google. He's a board director. He's a startup advisor. He has a newsletter, and I am just filling up my streams here, Jimmy. We got today's Creator Spotlight for Mornings in the Lab is Ben Wise. Yeah! Ben! Usually got Coach Flynn here, usually Marty, Johnny, here to celebrate you, but today it's going to be me, Ben. So we are celebrating Ben Wise today because he is and has a business athlete mindset. Ben's work ethic reflects the principles of a business athlete, balancing strategic thinking with a consistent action across media, startups, and community efforts. Yeah, exactly. Good time. We're celebrating Ben Wise here today. He is mastering persuasive influence through his newsletters Captivate. Ben demonstrates the power of understanding human behavior to drive success, showing how persuasion isn't just a skill, it's an edge. Listen, if you're rolling over and starting your day today, working on those persuasion skills, it's going to give you that edge. Don't hit the snooze button. Roll over and tackle the day. Ben also impacts beyond business. Whether it's through his mentoring, board services, or startup advising, Ben proves that success isn't just about personal wins. It's about lifting others and creating lasting community impact. Today's Creator Spotlight for Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends is Ben Wise. And congratulations, Ben, on being today's Creator Spotlight. And we're looking forward to welcoming you into the lab sometime to continue the conversation. And maybe you have somebody you want to celebrate in the lab for Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends. All right, Ben, that's it. Love this segment of the show. We like to celebrate humans and bringing them onto the, celebrate the great work that they're doing, and like to shine a light on great creators on the platform. So, all right. So this time we typically pivot to the business and branding segment of the show. And I'm going to lean into it for a few moments here today and talk about some things we got coming up here in the lab. And as you guys heard me say, we've got the League of Business Athletes we're working on, and it is a transformational 100-day experience we're looking to launch in the coming days out of the lab. And it's going to be an opportunity for you to work with myself, work with AJ, work with Jory, work with John, work with Marty, work with Rich. I work with Adam House on the business side of things. We put a team together to help you guys achieve those big, audacious goals. We're not here to sell you a new system. We're not here to sell you a new app. We're not here to give you something you don't want to do. No, we're here to help you be accountable to what you want to achieve. And we believe it starts here in the morning. So the morning show, the free entry point into our platform, the free entry point into the ecosystem of the Business Athlete Performance Lab. We're every single day, 8 o'clock Eastern time. We show up every day. Our purpose to help you guys be accountable, to help you guys achieve those big goals. We're going to launch the league, an extension of the morning show, an extension of the Business Athlete Performance Lab, wrapped in a 100-day experience, inviting you to change your life. What I imagine, what will happen, you're going to start on day one feeling a certain way. At the end of that 100th day, on day 101, you're going to have more energy. You're going to look in the mirror and feel better about yourself. You're going to look at your friends, your partner, your family. They're going to look at you, and you're all going to feel better about yourself. You're going to look at your new digital personal brand. You're going to look at the resume you've had from days ago going, yeah, that's yesterday. You're going to wake up on day 101, and you are going to be a brand new man. So stay tuned for the league coming soon from the Business Athlete Performance Lab. Okay, I'm going to get out of here. I got some work to do today, and maybe it has to do with fixing up the internet along the way. And we're going to be back tomorrow. Of course, we are back tomorrow. Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends. I'm opening my calendar here to see who we got joining us tomorrow. I know we got guests tomorrow on the show here. Tomorrow we have tomorrow's show is going to be, I think it is going to be, yes, Janine Sua is going to join us tomorrow for Center Stage and Deep Dive. And of course, we got Jory Jansen joining us as well tomorrow. And our topic with Jory tomorrow is we're going to continue talking about food and nutrition. And tomorrow's conversation is going to be around nutrition periodization on Friday. So when, how you eat, where you eat, what you eat, and so forth. And maybe we're going to hear some liver stories from John Anderson as well. So we're going to get out of here. We're going to rock and roll, get towards the day. Got to get my second lift in. I crushed my cardio this morning. Going to go get my lift in for the day. And then we're going to keep crushing goals throughout the rest of the day and work on our program, the League of Business Athletes, to bring it out to you guys. So on behalf of John, on behalf of Marty, on behalf of producer Jimmy, behalf of AJ Zenglin, Carl Grant III, and myself, Keith Phyllis, and all the guests in the feed. Ben, if you haven't subscribed, I invite you to subscribe to the channel. Good Time, Real Deal, Lauren, Shinku, Mike, That Greek Plumber, and everybody else who showed up this morning. I appreciate you. I thank you. I invite you to come back tomorrow. Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends, 8 o'clock Eastern time. The only morning show to help you guys get your ass out of bed, not hit the snooze button, and achieve those most audacious goals. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one.